He was a Philly cop with everything to lose. I was the queer kid with a camera and no backup. We were never supposed to meet, let alone fall for each other, not in a world where love like ours is labeled dangerous. One viral video changed everything. In seconds, his career, my safety, our secret gone. What began as a simple act of courage spiraled into public exposure, internal investigations, and threats from every direction. We tried to disappear, but when my own father slammed the door on me and his own brothers turned their backs, we chose to fight. Together, they shattered his uniform, tried to silence me with fear, but we painted our truth on walls they couldn't erase. We didn't ask for war, but we sure as hell want run from it. When the final threat arrived, we made a choice, hide forever or speak so loudly they'd never forget our names. But what happens when your love becomes a target? Would you risk everything just to feel seen? The moment the rubber bullet hit me, I thought my shoulder had exploded. 1 second I was adjusting my camera, the next I was on the ground, vision spinning, pain slicing through me like a hot blade. My cannon skidded across the pavement, still tethered to me by the neck strap. People screamed all around, voices blurred with the wail of sirens and the crack of flashbangs. The air stung with pepper spray and burned rubber. Philadelphia was on fire. I'd seen a lot from behind a lens, but that night I wasted just witnessing chaos. I was inside it. It had started peacefully enough, banners waving outside the Transit building in Old Kensington, chants echoing down Girard Avenue. I was covering it like always, independent press, no crew, no backup. Just me and my camera and the drive to capture something raw enough to matter. I'd squatted near a curb, lining up a shot of a teenage girl standing her ground before a riot shield, jaw clenched, eyes wild. The perfect image, defiance in the face of power. Click, then a bottle flew, then a baton rose, then everything snapped. I never saw who fired. The impact knocked the air out of me. I hit the ground hard. My right side screamed. The camera strap dug into my neck. I curled instinctively, protecting the gear like it was a part of me. Move back, someone roared nearby. Boots pounded pavement, more yelling, a rush of panic in my chest. I tried to stand, couldn't, then he was there, a cop in full riot gear, visor down, shield in one hand, the other reaching toward me. I flinched. Impress. I managed to croak. He froze, his visor lifted, our eyes locked. He looked maybe mid-30s. Dark hair matted with sweat, sharp jaw shadowed with stubble, but it was his eyes sea glass green, sharp with focus, then suddenly wide with something I couldn't name. You okay? He asked, voice low, rough. I blinked at him, confused. You shot me. He winced, not on purpose. His gloved hand hovered near my shoulder. Let me help you. Everything in me screamed not to trust him, but something in his tone, not just concern, but guilt, made me nod. He slipped his hand under my arm, steady and surprisingly gentle, and helped me to my feet. Pain roared through me, but I stayed up. You shouldn't be in the middle like that, he said. You're gonna get yourself killed. Part of the job, I muttered, biting back a groan. He handed me my camera, his hand brushing mine, and for a second the contact felt different, charged. Wrong, maybe, or too right. His nameplate caught my eye. Turner. I memorized it. Get out of here, he said, almost pleading. Then he turned and was gone, swallowed by the line of riot shields. I staggered toward the sidewalk, arm cradling my shoulder, camera still hanging from my neck. My chest burned from the impact, but my thoughts were stuck on him, the way he looked at me, the way he didn't look away. I got home past 2 a.m. My studio apartment in Fishtown was dim and still. I peeled off my jacket and hissed as the fabric tugged the bruised flesh underneath. No blood, just a hell of a welt. I pulled off my shirt, caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, shoulder already swelling, purple, bleeding into the skin. I sat on the floor, legs crossed, camera in my lap, flipped through the shots, the usual, fists raised, tear gas clouds, signs scrawled in fury. Then when I didn't mean to take him, Turner, kneeling beside me, visor off, his face full of something raw. I stared at it too long, then I Googled him. Officer Jeffrey Turner, 35, assigned to North Philly, commended for crowd de-escalation, no social media. A ghost in the age of oversharing. I sat there on the floor until the sun started to rise, thumb hovering over my trackpad. What the hell was that? A mistake, a moment. But part of me, the reckless part I thought I'd buried after my father threw me out at 17 for kissing another boy, whispered something I didn't want to hear. That man saw you. Not just the press badge, not just the bruised kid with a camera. Me, the rain hadn't stopped since sunrise. Thin, steady, like the sky was bleeding out everything it had left. I wandered the city most of the day, half in a fog. My shoulder throbbed. Every step reminded me I hadn't slept. The memory of his voice Turner clung to me like the humidity. You're gonna get yourself killed. I ended up in a late-night laundromat near Northern Liberties, not because I needed clean clothes, but because it was open, warm, and mostly empty. I sat on a cracked plastic chair near the dryers, camera bag on my lap, hoodie clinging to me. The fluorescent lights buzzed above like they were running out of power. One dryer thumped rhythmically like a slow heartbeat. I didn't even notice the bell above the door until I heard it chime. I looked up. It was him, Jeff Turner, no gear, no uniform, just jeans, a black hoodie, and rain on his shoulders. For a second I thought I was hallucinating. He paused when he saw me, then walked in like he didn't question it. "Hey," he said, like we were just two guys running into each other. "You left this." He reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a small lens cap. I blinked. "You followed me?" "No," he said, shaking his head. "Saw you limp off. Figured y'd need this, and maybe someone to check on your arm." He didn't sit. Just stood there, hands tucked into his hoodie, water dripping from the cuffs. "You always carry extra gear on patrol?" I asked, a little sharper than I meant. "I'm off duty," he said, "and no. Just thought maybe I owed you more than a bruised shoulder." I looked at the cap in his hand. Took it slowly, our fingers brushed, again that jolt. "You didn't owe me anything," I said, eyes narrowed. "You were doing your job. Does mean I feel good about it." That surprised me. I shifted in the seat, trying to hide how stiff my body had gotten. "So, what? You tracked me down to say sorry." His eyes met mine. "You're not easy to forget." Silence. I stood, the motion slow and deliberate. "I don't know what you're looking for, Officer Turner Jeff." That stopped me. "My name's Jeff," he said, voice lower now, "and am not looking for anything. I just needed to know you were all right." My throat tightened. I hated how much that landed, like no one had said it in a while. "I'm fine," I lied. He saw through it. His gaze dipped to my shoulder, still tucked under my hoodie. "I have ice," he offered. "I leave close." I snorted. "That's supposed to be a line?" His mouth twitched. "If it is, it's the worst one I've ever used." I should have said no. Instead, I followed him out into the rain. His place was a few blocks away, a narrow row house on a side street that smelled like wet concrete and cigarettes. Inside, it was cleaner than I expected, sparse, quiet. He handed me a towel, then disappeared into the kitchen. I peeled off my soaked hoodie and sat on the edge of his couch. The silence buzzed. Jeff came back with a bag of frozen peas wrapped in a dish towel. Pressed it gently to my shoulder without asking. I hissed. He didn't flinch. "You get hurt often?" he asked. "Occupational hazard." He looked at me sideways. "You always chase chaos." I shrugged. "Someone has to tell the truth." He nodded slowly, fingers still resting on the ice pack. Our eyes met again. That beat of silence stretched long, heavy. "Then I saw one of your photos," he said quietly. "From last year, the woman in the yellow scarf facing down the riot cop." I blinked. "That wasn't published." "I've seen things that don't go public." Of course he had. I swallowed. "So you know what I do?" "Yeah." "And you still brought me here?" His eyes didn't waver. "Yeah." My heart thudded. Lightning flashed outside. "I should go," I said, standing, but I didn't move toward the door. He stepped forward, close, then go. I didn't, not for a long moment. The storm outside had no plans to let up. Rain clattered against the windows like restless fingers. Jeff had lit a lamp in the corner, soft, amber, casting long shadows across the living room. We didn't say much after that. I sat curled up on his couch, hoodie off, shoulder wrapped in his dish towel, and the zip-up head pulled from his closet. It smelled like cedar, and something else I couldn't name, something that made my pulse race. He moved around the small kitchen quietly, making tea like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like I belonged here, and maybe I wanted to. Jeff handed me a mug and sat beside me, close but not too close. "I thought y'd already left," I said. He glanced at me. "You didn't. A beat." "I don't invite people over," he added. That surprised me. "Why now?" Jeff stared into his cup. "I don't know. You got under my skin." I took a sip of the tea. "Mint, warm, calming. You say that like it's a bad thing." His eyes lifted, met mine. "I don't know what kind of thing it is." Silence folded around us again. "But it wasn't empty. It was full of things neither of us had words for yet." His knee brushed mine. Neither of us moved. "You always like to sit in silence with strangers?" I asked, smirking. "You're not a stranger. Then what am I?" He looked at me for a long time. "I don't know," he said finally. "But when I saw you go down at that protest, something in me cracked. I've seen people fall. I've seen worse. But that it stuck." I turned slightly, facing him. "I felt it too," I said quietly. Jeff didn't speak. He just looked at me like I was something he wasn't supposed to want, but couldn't stop needing. And then, slowly, deliberately, he reached out and brushed a damp curl from my forehead. His fingertips lingered on my temple. My breath hitched. His touch was feather-light, but it lit something up in me, something warm and reckless. He pulled his hand back like head touched fire. Maybe he had. I shouldn't, he murmured. Then, Daunt, I whispered. But I didn't move away, neither did he. He reached again, slower this time, and let his palm cup my jaw. My eyes fluttered, closed at the warmth of it, the roughness of his thumb brushing just beneath my cheekbone. I leaned into it. Our foreheads touched, a soft press that made my heart thunder. His breath grazed my lips. Mike, I know, I didn't need him to finish. Our lips met, not with hunger, not at first, just a quiet, careful question. One we both answered by leaning in further. His hand slid to the back of my neck. My fingers gripped the fabric of his shirt like I was afraid he'd disappear. The kiss deepened, but still stayed on that edge, not rushed, not desperate, just real, grounded. Two men who had too many reasons to stay quiet, finally allowing themselves to feel. When we pulled apart, our faces stayed close, noses brushing, breaths mingling. I didn't think this would happen, he said. Neither did I, but I wanted it to, he added, even when I tried not to. I nodded, chest tight. I moved closer, pressing my forehead to his again. Then, don't try, just stay. He leaned in once more, kissed me again. This time longer, slower, like we both needed it to mean something. His hands rested on my waist now, warm and steady. I felt his breath on my neck, his lips grazing just below my jaw. I let my own hands explore the ridges of his back beneath his shirt muscle, tension, heat. Everywhere our bodies touched, something new bloomed, not lust, not yet, but ache, a wanting that was careful. Unrushed, mutual, we didn't cross any line, but we hovered right at the edge, suspended in something tender, electric. Outside, the rain softened. Inside, we sat wrapped in each other, breath to breath, hand to heartbeat. I didn't ask what came next, neither did he, because for the first time in a long time, silence didn't mean distance. It meant safety. The next morning I woke to the sound of water running. For a second I didn't remember where I was. Then I turned and saw Jeff in the kitchen, back to me, bare feet on hardwood, a t-shirt clinging to his back. The light outside was pale and gray, a whisper of dawn over the skyline. I stretched, sore in all the ways that had nothing to do with pain. My shoulder ached, sure, but it was the ache of memory now, of hands and breath and something real. He turned when he heard me move. Didn't mean to wake you, he said. His voice was quiet, but his eyes were warm. Didn't mean to stay, I replied, but I smiled, and so did he. He poured me coffee and leaned against the counter as I padded over in his oversized hoodie. For a few minutes it felt almost normal, like this was a thing people did, wake up next to someone and have coffee like the world didn't hate them for it. Until someone knocked at the door. We both froze. 3 short raps. Jeff glanced at me, something sharp flashing across his face. He moved to the door but didn't open it. Instead, he spoke through it. Yeah, Turner, you home, a male voice. Confident, familiar. My blood ran cold. Jeff's mouth tightened. Carter, he muttered. Just checking in. The voice continued. You didn't answer your comms. You okay? Jeff hesitated, then cracked the door open. A man in uniform stood there, dark hair, squared jaw, eyes that flicked past Jeff and landed on me. Everything in his posture changed. Well, he said, too loudly, didn't know you had company. Jeff stepped into the doorway like a shield. It's not what it looks like. The guy Carter smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Sure, none of my business. Exactly, Jeff said firmly. But I could feel it in the air, the shift, the weight, the cold. Anyway, Carter added, it'll let the Sarge know you're alive. See you at roll call. He turned and walked off. Jeff shut the door and didn't move for a long moment. I set my coffee down. You told me you didn't have to hide. He didn't turn. It's not that simple. My chest tightened, isn't it? Jeff finally faced me. Carter's not just a cop. He's the guy who ran another officer out last year. Gay, outed by accident. They made his life hell. Transfers, locker trash, radio silence. He quit in 2 weeks. And what about you? I asked. You planning to do the same? Jeff said nothing. I stepped forward. You invited me here. You kissed me, held me, but now you're backpedaling the moment someone knocks. His jaw flexed. I'm trying to protect us both. No, I snapped. You're protecting yourself. The words hung there. Ugly, true. Jeff's voice dropped. You think I'm not scared? I didn't answer. He stepped closer, voice rising. You think I don't lay awake knowing one wrong move could end my career, destroy my life? My hands curled into fists. Welcome to the club, Jeff. I've been living that way since I was 17. That hit him hard. He stepped back, shook his head. I can't do this right now, he muttered. Then say it, I whispered. Say you regret it. He looked at me, pain slicing through his expression. I don't, but you're still going to walk away. He didn't deny it. I grabbed my jacket. He didn't stop me. As I opened the door, I paused, looked back one last time. You don't get to choose just the soft parts, I said. Then I stepped out into the morning. I had barely stepped outside when I heard the scream. It cut through the street like a wire snapping sharp, scared, followed by a loud crash. I froze, then instinct kicked in. My camera was already in my hands. Pain shot through my shoulder, but I moved anyway. I turned the corner and saw the crowd. 5, maybe 6 teens, hoodies up, shouting. 2 of them had phones out, recording. At the center of it all was a boy, maybe 16, small, curled into himself. His backpack was torn open on the ground. A rainbow pin on the strap caught the light like a wound. I raised the camera reflex, but something in me stopped. I shouted instead. Hey, heads turned. One kid in a red jacket broke away, swaggered toward me. Who the hell are you? Leave him alone. He laughed. What? He your boyfriend or something? I took a step forward. My heart slammed into my ribs. Then, from behind me, a voice cut through the air. Low, controlled, commanding, step away from him. Now I turned. Jeff in uniform. He wasn't supposed to be here. He should stayed inside, but he was here anyway. The group hesitated, then started to back off, not fast, but with that guilty slouch of kids who knew they'd pushed too far. Jeff moved in, eyes locked on them, hand near his belt but never reaching for anything, just presence. Enough to scatter them. Then he was next to me. Are you insane? He hissed under his breath. I didn't answer. We turned to the kid, still on the ground, trembling. Jeff knelt. You okay? The boy nodded shakily. They followed me from the subway. I was just walking home. Something in his voice hit me square in the chest. I saw myself 13, under a bridge, fists flying, laughter echoing. No one helped me then, but someone had helped this time. Jeff helped him up, picked up his bag, and walked him to a patrol car that had pulled up nearby. As the kid climbed in, he looked back at us not just with thanks, but something else. Like we were proof that someone would stand up, proof that it didn't always have to end in silence. By the next morning, everything had changed. It didn't matter that Jeff didn't use force, that he never drew his weapon, that he simply stood up for a terrified kid. The moment someone pulled out a phone and hit record, it became something else. Viral, the video hit Twitter that night. The caption read, Pile a cop defends queer kid. Is this the same officer from last year's scandal? It wasn't true. Jeff had never been involved in any scandal, but that didn't matter. The comments didn't ask for facts. They assumed everything. I saw it an hour after it went up. By then, the views were pushing 90. A few left-leaning accounts shared it with praise. Others weren't so generous. My stomach churned as I read the replies. Groomer in uniform. Hope Internal Affairs is watching. Guess we found the next guy to push out. By noon, Jeff's precinct was quiet, too quiet. No locker room chatter, no jokes, just stares, cold, controlled. He didn't call me. I waited a day, then 2. By the 3rd day, I couldn't take it. I showed up at the row house and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Then the door opened. Jeff stood there, unshaven, hollow-eyed, like he hadn't slept. I didn't wait for permission. I stepped in. You're just going to disappear. He shut the door behind me. You shouldn't be here. Screw that. You think I care about the comments. You saved someone. You showed up. Jeff turned away, ran a hand through his hair. I'm suspended. My chest tightened. What? They are calling it a procedural review, but we both know what it is. They can't. They can, they will. Internal Affairs opened an inquiry this morning. Carter gave them the footage. I froze. Carter recorded it. He was nearby. Said he was just documenting the situation. Rage bloomed in my chest. He set you up. Jeff didn't deny it. He just looked tired. I knew the rules, Mike. I broke them. You broke silence. That's not the same. He sat on the edge of the couch, hands clenched between his knees. I thought maybe if I kept my head down long enough, I could ride it out, do the job, keep the peace, but this cracked something open. You regret it? I asked softly. He looked up at me. No, not for a second. I moved closer, sat beside him. I've been through worse, I said. When I was outed in high school, my dad stopped talking to me. My best friend turned on me. I thought it'd break me. He turned to face me. But it didn't, I whispered, and neither will this. His hand found mine, fingers laced, slow and sure. You make it sound so simple. It's not. It's hell, but it's real. We sat in silence, palms pressed together. the world outside a distant hum. And then a knock at the door. We both stiffened. This time it wasn't Carter. It was someone older. Broad frame, civilian clothes. He held a badge up to the peephole. Officer Turner, Detective Reeves, Aya, we need to talk. Jeff stood slowly, looked at me. I nodded. I'll wait. He opened the door and they stepped inside. It wasn't an arrest. Not yet, but it wasn't nothing. Later that evening, Jeff came out of the back room looking like head aged 10 years. They are digging, he said. Old reports, incident logs, anything they can use. I stood. They won't find anything. He gave a thin smile. Doesn't matter. They are not looking for truth, just reasons. I wanted to scream. Instead, I walked to him, pressed my hands to his face. You're not alone in this. He exhaled shakily, and for the first time since this all began, he leaned into me not as a cop, or a man trying to hold himself together, but just as Jeff. Broken, brave, real. It happened on a Thursday. I was walking home from a freelance gig, nothing special, just headshots for a real estate team. I was halfway across Rittenhouse Square when my phone lit up. Turn on the news. The text came from Eli, my friend, sometimes ally, full-time KS addict. I frowned, tapped into a live stream, and everything inside me dropped. Anonymous source leaks Philly cops double life. There it was. Footage of Jeff blurry, pulled from surveillance, showing him leaving a Pride bar late at night months ago. And then a still from the protest, him helping me up. Then one more, from outside his home, me entering his door. The voiceover was relentless. Sources claim the officer has been engaged in a secret relationship with a known activist involved in anti-police demonstrations. Internal Affairs has launched a formal review. If proven true, this could be one of the most high-profile ethics violations in recent years. I stopped walking. People around me were still moving, laughing, scrolling, but my world went completely still. My name wasn't mentioned, but my face clear as day. They outed him, they outed us. I got to Jeff's house 20 minutes later, my heart pounding so hard it drowned out the city noise. When he opened the door, I barely recognized him. His hands were trembling. They went after you, he said. They used you. I stepped in, slammed the door behind me. This was Carter, wasn't it? Jeff nodded. He leaked the security tapes. They traced it back to the department. He's playing it off like a concerned citizen whistleblower. I paced the room. This is insane. They can't do this. They already have. But you didn't violate anything. You helped a kid. You fell and I caught myself. Too late. He looked at me. You were going to say it, he said quietly. Say it, Mike. My throat tightened. You want me to. I need you to. I stared at him, at the man who kissed me like he meant it, who stood between a kid and a crowd, who let me in even when it terrified him. I love you, I said. The words felt like a crash, a release. A fall. Jeff closed his eyes like the sound of it hurt, like it healed. I love you too, he said, but then he pulled away. But it doesn't matter anymore. I froze. What? They've already made up their minds. The story's out. The damage is done. Even if I walk away now, they'll still smear you. Say you seduced a cop. Say you manipulated this. So what? You just vanish. Let them win. He laughed bitterly. It's not about winning. It's about surviving. He turned his back. That was when I snapped. You think this is just about you? I shouted. I've spent my whole damn life surviving. I lost my father. I lost my home, and now I might lose the first person who ever made me feel safe, and you want to pretend none of this happened. He stood still, too still, then quietly. I was never taught how to be brave like you. I stepped forward. Then let me show you. That night, I posted the photo. One photo. Just our hands, fingers interlocked. No faces, no names, the caption. They want to shame love. I want let them. It blew up. 20 likes in the first hour. 50 by midnight, and then messages, hundreds, from people I didn't know. My brother's a cop. He's been hiding for years. Thank you. I needed this today. They can't erase us. And buried in all that noise, one dem from an anonymous burner account. You think this is over. It's just getting started. I showed it to Jeff. He read it once, then again. That's a threat, I said. He nodded slowly. Yeah, and it's personal. We sat together that night in silence, the kind that comes after an explosion. When the world's still on fire, but you're both too exhausted to run. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. The war had started, but so had something else. It was nearly midnight when the doorbell rang. Jeff and I were both on edge already. The dim still sat heavy on our phones, unanswered. The idea of anyone knocking at this hour sent ice down my spine. We didn't speak. Jeff moved to the peephole, then froze. He looked back at me, pale. Mike, it's your father. My blood went cold. I stood and crossed the room. my legs suddenly wooden. I looked for myself, and yeah, it was him. Older, grayer, face stiff like concrete, but still him. "What the hell is he doing here?" I whispered. Jeff didn't answer. He opened the door. My father didn't wait for an invitation. He stepped in, looked at Jeff like he was, and even a person, then turned to me. "You've made quite the mess," he said flatly. "Your face is all over the internet. Your mother's crying. Do you have any idea what you've done? I told you years ago I wouldn't hide," I said. "This isn't news. It is now," he snapped. "It's not just family anymore. It's the department. It's national. You've dragged our name through mud." Jeff stepped forward, calm but firm. "Sir, I think you should leave." My father's eyes narrowed. "You're the cop, right? The one screwing up his life?" Jeff didn't flinch. "But I did. I screwed up my own life," I cut in, "by thinking maybe y'd care enough to understand." He stared at me for a long, silent beat. Then, "Don't come home again." He turned and walked out, just like that. I closed the door, leaned against it. Jeff didn't say anything. He didn't have to. This wasn't just about us anymore. It never was. The lines were drawn now. Family, identity, public war, private love, and a battle just beginning. They didn't stop at the story. 2 days later, someone smashed Jeff's car window. A week after that, he found a dead pigeon on his porch wrapped in rainbow tape. No note, just the message. Whispers followed us everywhere. My inbox filled with threats and support in equal measure. Eli told me I was trending again, this time on Right wing blogs with titles like The Fall of a Hero Cop. Jeff barely left the house. But I refused to disappear. We held hands in public now. Not always, but when it mattered. In front of cameras. At rallies, in the face of the silence they tried to stuff us back into, we weren't hiding anymore. And that apparently made us dangerous. The knock came again. Not a threat this time. A manila envelope on the doorstep. No return address, just one word, evidence inside, screenshots, dozens, Carter, on burner accounts. Coordinating the leak, sharing edited tapes, even planting stories with local press. Jeff stared at it, hands shaking. This could end him. It could save you," I said. He nodded slowly, but then, "What if it makes things worse? What if they say I planned it? Then we burn the whole damn lie down." We went to the next morning, together. They didn't want to listen, but the folder did the talking. Carter's connections, fabricated timestamps, patterns they couldn't ignore. Jeff laid it out, calm and clear. I sat beside him, silent witness. By the end, the room was still. "This changes everything," one of the officers finally said. No apology, but no handcuffs either. That afternoon, Carter was suspended. We walked home in the golden light of early evening, past the news crews that didn't even recognize us anymore. At the intersection near the square, Jeff stopped. "What happens now?" he asked. I looked at him, this man who had lost his shield, his silence, his illusions, and was still standing. "We keep showing up," I said. "We keep living." He smiled, tired but real. Then, "Come with me." He took me back to the place where it all began. The alley behind the protest. The mural was still there, half, faded now, spray, painted over in parts, but still breathing color. Jeff pulled something from his coat. Spray paint. He handed it to me. "You're the artist," he said. "Finish it." I looked at the wall, at the names scrawled in resistance and love and fury. I added just one more. Ours side by side. We didn't win, not really. Jeff didn't get his badge back, not yet. My family didn't call. But in that moment, we were louder than the silence. We didn't win, not really. Jeff didn't get his badge back, not yet. My family didn't call. But in that moment, we were louder than the silence. That night, another DM arrived. Same burner account. "You think this is over. We know where you sleep." This time, Jeff didn't freeze. He picked up the phone, called a reporter, and said, "You want the truth, come get it."